Now we're seeing a bit more from Jen and her anger towards Stephen Stearns. Let's bring back in our guest to discuss. Joining us this hour, national trial attorney Mike Jaafar is with us. Michael, we've been hearing a lot from Jen. We've seen some tears, but now we are seeing that she feels like the wool was pulled over her eyes, and Stephen Stearns has already been arrested, but it doesn't appear that Madeline's body has been found yet in this time period.
Yeah, I mean, aside from being the most negligent mother in the world, I mean, I want to find a way to charge this woman for what happened to her daughter. But as much as I rack my brain to find the charges, I really can't find them. But at the end of the day, if you ask any, here's how the jury would look at it. I mean, if she were to ever be charged, she obviously has not been charged, and I don't think she will be unless new evidence is discovered. But any juror would look at it and say, ask any well-adjusted mother, are you comfortable with a grown man sleeping in the bed with your basically grown girl, right? She's not an adult. Are you comfortable with him sleeping with her and he's not her father? She'll tell you absolutely not, right? This woman just wants to get a good night's rest, right? So at the end of the day, her faux, shock of, the wool being pulled over her eye. I mean, I'm riveted by watching this interview because I've been wondering, what went through your mind? Why did you allow this person to have this type of interaction with your daughter? And obviously the fact that later on child pornography was found. His own father outed him. His own father called the police and said, come get this old hard drive that I have because I think there might be something on it. So at the end of the day, it's heartbreaking, but I still haven't found what would make her criminally liable for an actual crime. I want there to be one, by the way, Julia, I really do, but so far I haven't seen it, but I'll see at the end how this interview plays out.
Former prosecutor can't find one. Right. If anyone could find one, Michael Jaafar could.
When you think about this case, it's a death case against Stephen Stearns. He is the worst of the worst if these allegations are true, and it seems like there's a lot of evidence that supports the state's case against him, not only murder, but the sexual exploitation of children, including this victim, Madeline. Do they need her? Does the state need her to achieve the goal of prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law against Stephen Stearns?
That's a great question. I hadn't pondered that. Do they need her? I mean, they have enough with him. They have the video from the street showing that her body was in the car. They show that they can easily pin him to the timeline that he was the last person to be known alive with her. One of her own, analysts from Court TV went and walked the distance between where he dropped her off and how far it would take her to get to school, and it was several minutes. So, I mean, they have enough evidence to put him in the scene of the crime. Do they need her? I mean, she was not a witness to what happened, right? Because essentially he killed her while he drove her to school and then he dumped her body. That's essentially what it is. The evidence does not suggest that she was with it. She was there, but she can't hurt. She can absolutely add some color to it. And having the mother of the deceased person, who the jury will be casting judgment on, even though she's not accused of anything, being in the courtroom, testifying against him and saying, hey, he pulled the wool over my eyes, would help. Also, we know from a police interview that this, monster had with his mom and an email exchange where she was telling him, she was alluding, hey, you're protecting other people who I'm not going to name, but you need to stop being such a good person. You need to stop protecting these people. So she may actually, now that I think about it, be necessary to the case, because his defense might be to throw her under the bus, and so she's not part of the trial, if she's not a witness, then that might actually hurt the prosecution. So now that I think about it, and because of the fact that his defense might throw her under the bus, she's going to have to be there to re-throw him under the bus that he tries, as he's throwing her under the bus, she needs to dodge and throw him right underneath the heavy tire of the bus. So I think she's going to be necessary to the prosecution.
Yeah, and you're mentioning really what she's doing now, but she wasn't really throwing him under the bus those first couple of days. And let's take a look back at this interview, really with police on body cam. There's this group that is meeting to look for Madeline, and they are standing side by side, and it doesn't look like there's any problem between this couple.
She got dropped off. She was like, so she's embarrassed by his car. So she didn't want to be dropped off at school. She wanted to be dropped off like half a block away so she can walk.
It's an thing. She's in the face.
But he dropped her off half a block away and drove away.
Okay. Did she ever go to school though?
No, we called
When she
school.
was walking in that direction, she was rifling through her backpack, just looking for something. I thought maybe she was just looking for headphones before she got her walking on.
Yeah.
But she was just kind of, shambling over in that direction. It looked the same as any other morning. Green hoodie,
Green hoodie,
white Crocs,
white Crocs,
either blue or black pants.
I think black shorts.
Black shorts?
Yeah.
black shorts. Okay.
So Michael Jaafar, Jen Soto is very forthcoming in the longer police interview that we have been playing all day today. But if they can find that there's anything that she did perhaps in those first couple of days that did not allow police to more quickly get to Stephen Stearns, or just something that she perhaps didn't tell the truth about, do you think that would be enough for a charge in this case against the mother?
Well, of course, if they can find that, they could. But at the end of the day, here's what I believe happened, right? This Stephen Stearns kid, he took a wrong turn at the proper developmental stage as he was growing up that turned him into what he is now, a child pornographer, a monster, a person who is innocent until proven guilty, but he did this. Why do I bring that up now? Because it's conceivable that he charmed her and he pulled the wool over her eyes, because we watched an interview that he had with the police, and they obviously didn't let him go, where he was very charming, he was very convincing, and even the police obviously let him go. So it's conceivable that he pulled the wool over her eyes in such a deep fashion where she really did not know that he had anything to do with her. And also the fact that her daughter had a history of running away. I think all of those factors conspired to cause her to seem to be defending him in that time, because if they were to try to prosecute her, they know what her defense would be. He pulled the wool over my eyes like he did over everybody else. Why would I ever want him to do this? At the end of the day, if you're a well-adjusted mother, you're not letting your daughter sleep in the same bed as a person who's not her father. So she clearly is guilty of just CPS. If she had by the way, if she had other children, she would lose those children. She didn't have to be criminally charged. She would just lose those children, right? But at the end of the day, I think there's enough here for the prosecution to sit back and say, you know what, if we charge her and say that she was an accessory after the fact, she's going to have tons of things to create reasonable doubt, and we'd be just spinning our wheels. Let's just let her be a witness and put this monster away, because if in fact he did it, then at the end of the day we want to put him to death. So those are my thoughts on it.
All right, let's get a break. We'll get more from Jen Soto in this police interview from the state of Florida.
Well, let's bring back in national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, we're hearing seemingly at times a pretty relaxed Jen Soto, but she's explaining the behaviors that she's seen in her boyfriend. She knows he's been arrested for child porn, and we understand that detectives showed her pictures of the abuse that Madeline suffered. Anything you're picking up on just her demeanor during this interview?
Yeah, her demeanor is the same. And in the break, I was determined to find a crime to charge this idiot with. And so I asked my team to do some research for me. They came back with no less than 8 crimes that she could be charged with. I'm not going to list them for you here, but they range from, parental abandonment, sexual abuse, failure to report abuse of a minor, all these other things. They range from misdemeanors to felonies. And so what I'm sensing in her tone is that of a terrible, terrible, terrible mother who turned a blind eye because she wanted to get a good night's rest. At the end of the day, I hope that this monster gets convicted and hopefully gets sentenced to death. And I hope that she gets charged, because at the end of the day, she clearly did not want her daughter. If she had other kids, she would have lost these kids before the trial even began. Child Protective Services would have yanked these kids from her, just based on her own words, based on what she has said, based on what she has reported, right? She is a neglectful parent, and when you're a neglectful parent, there are consequences, right? And so the toll is going to come due for this woman. It's not yet. I think, as I've thought about it, I think the state is doing it right. I think they're letting her off the hook for now so she can testify against the real main culprit. But the statute of limitations on these is long. This murder only happened this year. The smallest crime that they could charge her with has a statute of limitations of about 5 years. So they're going to catch up with this girl. They're going to catch up with her. She's going to face some prison time, and she should, because at the end of the day, when you have a kid, if you don't want to take care of the kid, you could put the kid up for adoption. It's terrible, but you can do that. It's better than just basically letting a grown man sleep in the bed with your daughter, and by your own admission, you now are thinking that he was grooming her and sexually abusing her. You knew that. So at the end of the day, this is a tragedy, and really the biggest victim is this poor girl because she had a terrible mom.
This is what she said when she was opining about what she thinks might have happened in terms of how did he get Madeline out of the house. She seems numb, and you hate to judge people's demeanor when they've gone through something like this. I mean, she, I'm sure, is a shell of the person that she used to be. To your point earlier, Michael, this is, I mean, she's suffered a lot losing her daughter. What do you take when you, just looking at her demeanor during this, talking about her, I mean, it's very clinical at times.
What I take is that she met the elements of two of the crimes, child neglect and endangering the welfare of a child, right? So at the end of the day, what I take from her is a woman who's resigned to her fate. None of us know what's going on inside her mind. But if I look at her in these videos, I assume that what's going on in her mind is, this is catching up to me. I did this. I can't say it out loud, but I did this. What within me allowed me to get to this point where I would do this? Is it because I had a difficult child to raise, because she had a little bit of social problems? What was it? Is it because I'm lazy? Is it because I'm a deadbeat? What is it that's causing me to do that? At the end of the day, she was resigned to her fate. She was sitting in the room with detectives who are trying to find her daughter, who were doing a better job at benefiting the welfare of her child than she did. They seemed more concerned with the welfare of her child than she was concerned while her child was in her custody. I have to assume that's a big part of what's going through her mind, but who knows? But that's my reading of it.
We don't know, but it is very interesting to watch and hear what police got from Jen Soto as they were investigating this case. Michael Jaafar, thank you for your analysis this hour. We are going to get in a break, but we